Hey guys, so I finally have a proper painted build to show off again. So today we're going to do a quick work in progress on this guy here. This is the Kotobukiya Zoids Berserk Fuhrer, uh, which has a silly German name, but otherwise is actually a really great kit. I'm just going to show you guys what I did. As you can see, I've basically completed painting the inner frame. I'll show you what paints I've used and sort of what my thought process was, like I always do. I'm building this guy for ZakuAurelius's Kotobukiya contest, which really sort of came along at just the right time to sort of give me a reason to do a sort of a proper complicated painted build again after a couple of months now of just painting Warhammer figures. I'm already way behind schedule though, so I originally was going to build like a base for this, and that's probably not going to happen. But anyway, my process here was essentially the same as when I build a gunpla kit. This isn't all the way down, that bugs me. When I build a gunpla kit, which is to say that what I did was first I took all of the parts off the sprues. I painted almost everything individually. There's a tiny number of things that you can actually snap together because they don't have to move against one another. So I primed and painted everything individually using, first of all, this Vallejo's gloss black surface primer, which is meant to be used with their metal color range of metallic colors. The gloss black gives you like a really shiny surface that really helps the metallic paints to work. It doesn't look very good on its own, but it's an excellent surface to spray metallics on. Then for most of what you're looking at here, I used this is gunmetal gray from the metal color range, which, by the way, I think they're more convincing looking like chrome and metallic colors that are lacquers. But unless you're willing to go lacquer, the Vallejo paints are really, they're far and away the best metallic paints out there, and there's a reason why everyone's saying that. Anyway, for the claws and a couple of other silver bits, I used duraluminum. And then I tried this here for the first time, which is Vallejo's metal varnish, they're calling this, which is basically like a gloss top coat. And that's sort of the one thing I'm kind of still struggling with, because on most of this, I ended up with sort of a semi-gloss surface that maintained the metallic look pretty nicely, but in a few other places, like you can see on the back of the tail here, it looks a lot glossier. And I don't know, Vallejo's gloss top coats generally are kind of a pain to work with through an airbrush. I like a lot of Vallejo's products, but their gloss varnishes are they're not one of the things that I like. So I'm just not sure sort of what the idea is, whether this like really sort of tacky glossy look is what you're supposed to be going for. I know I like this better, but anyway, yeah, that was a bit, I don't know. Anyway, once the parts are base painted and top coated once, what I do is I snap them together, still in a couple of sub assemblies. Like I did the tail segments separately. I did a couple other things separately. I snap them together, and then I do dry brushing with Tamiya X11 Chrome Silver. And I used to use a rust color from Gunze, but I've now, basically because I ran out of that stuff, I've taken to using this now as sort of the rust color. This is Mournfang Brown from Citadel, which I really find, like in this context, looks like rust, it works fine. So do a lot of dry brushing with the Chrome Silver all over everything, and then sort of more selectively with the Rust Brown. And this time I painted the details after the dry brushing. The last time I did all this, I painted the details first, and then I did the dry brushing, which to me kind of felt like it's sort of, it messed up a lot of the edges and the sharpness of the detail and made it look sloppy. And so I wanted to do the detail painting after the dry brushing this time, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out actually. So I did that with like all these silver bits you're seeing here, like these grills, these pipes, these things here. Those were all done with lead belcher, which I can't find right now. I need to show you this for a second afterwards as well. Yeah, here we go. Lead belcher, of course, you know, everyone's go-to silver color if you use Citadel paints. The gold bits, again, I just did sort of all the round details gold. The gold bits were done with Retributor armor. And there are a few red things like here on the tail, like these fins that show up that serve to charge up the charged particle cannon, and also these cables here, which if you've seen my PG Strike build series, then you know I like painting cables red. Unfortunately, there weren't really any others on the whole kit, so these are the only ones I got to do, which is kind of disappointing. Anyway, anything that's red, also CPC fins here. Anything that's red was done with Mephiston red, which is just sort of the standard red color that you get from Citadel. And then after that, and this was actually also a first, I did a pin wash on all of the inner frame stuff with Nuln Oil. And I really have to say, like, there's fancier ways to do panel lines, but Nuln Oil, especially on a gloss top coat like what I used here, it seeps into the crevices just the way you want it to. In the few seconds you have before it dries, you can wipe it off just fine, and then it's dry, you know. And this, I don't see any reason to use, enamels or oil paints and then have to wait forever and a day until they dry if I can just do this with acrylics, you know. So yeah, that's what I did. Also these the coil spring here, which actually is you can see here the black bits are hand painted with Abaddon black, and this is a Citadel jar that no longer closes properly, which is awesome. That's why we love these Citadel jars so much, don't we? This coil spring and also the pistons on the legs here, and this one, were done with sort of my go-to gold color for Gunpla, which is titanium gold from Tamiya. But to be honest, I only used it I was in the middle of airbrushing all this stuff, and then I realized I didn't have any more gold leaf, because that's like their standard gold color, right? And I really think like the gold leaf, if you look here, like the Retributor armor is just, you know, gold. And the titanium gold, of course, is a lot more pale. And the point was really for these to match, and now they don't. But oh well. Yeah. The final paint I can talk to you about is on all of the duraluminum parts. I did the dry brushing with Runefang steel. Previously, I always used white to dry brush on silver, but it's just one of the things I've sort of learned from honestly from doing Warhammer models that that works better. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I can point out all the detail painting I did to you. There's like this, I kind of like this, like there's a gold bit here sort of sunk between these silver parts. That looks pretty cool. There's a gold ring here that I might still go back and paint. Silver pipes on everything. I really wish the lead belcher would pop a little more against the gunmetal. Maybe I should have used a brighter color, but it's a bit late for that. Yeah, here's the neck. This is just a really nice detail, and I sort of try to bring it out a little, but it's hard to get in there. You know, it would have been nicer to get this small bit of circle that maybe you can see in there to get that to be gold, but it just seemed impossible. Other than that, though, I have to say, like, the last time I hand painted detail was on the PG Strike, and I was still using almost exclusively Tamiya's on that. It was a giant pain, and I'm really glad I've discovered Citadel paints, because it makes hand painting these details so much easier, and it's actually fun, you know, and it's also easier to fix mistakes if and when they happen. Yeah, it's just a much more pleasurable experience all around. Okay, yeah, let's just get this together real quick. I don't know why I keep doing this. Like in the very first. Oh, also, the head. Of course, the teeth are painted silver. Did some detail here. The cockpit looks kind of crappy at the moment. All I did was red on these things here. I have to say, I might honestly not do anything more to the cockpit, because it's just, there's some detail down here, but it's just impossible to get to. So the reason I'm showing you this really is because, yeah, if you're going to build this kit and you want to paint the cockpit, and my advice to you is to paint the pilot seat. The pilot seat is a nice single separate part, and actually wouldn't have been difficult at all to just paint all the detail on there, and then put the head together, but I'm an idiot. Anyway, that's the head in place. As you can see, loads of posability here. Just being a little careful. Also notice how all these fin pieces here are exposed, because they've got these flaps open. This all works very nicely. It has a mechanism where if you move one, the other moves along with it automatically. I don't know if I ever want to move these. It still works totally fine, despite the fact that it's painted. I've tried it. But I'm not moving them again, because they're going to get all scratched up, and I'm in all likelihood I'm gonna pose this thing with with these things exposed. So there's really no need to keep going back and forth and opening and closing them. Anyway, there's one leg in place. Here's the other one. This also has a joint that moves like every which way you could possibly want it to, by the way. Up and down and forward and back, and then you have of course the leg rotates here, so it's pretty cool. Really, like, posability wise, this is one of the best Kotobukiya Zoids kits. Okay. Oh yeah, also this is the piece that the Zoids core sits in, which goes in here on the chest. But the thing is, the part, I mean, you can see this is how it's supposed to sit in there, but you actually attach it with two sort of protrusions on the white armor part that goes on this. So I actually can't fix this in place just yet. Okay, now the arms pop on these ball joints, but the ball joints also have hinges under them, so loads of posability there. Damn it. Let's break something on camera. Okay, and that's it. That's the inner frame assembled. Let's see if we can get this all in the shot. Yeah, that's the inner frame assembled. I'll show you some of the this actually can move as well. There's a joint here that allows you to twist the side to side. There's these pipes in there that I painted because they're sort of semi-exposed, and I don't think there's going to be any armor covering this up, so this is kind of important. Anyway, yeah, this took longer than I expected as usual, but I'm happy with how this came out. There are some stability issues with the legs, I have to say. I know that's a common complaint. I'm just confirming that it's true. This part here especially, like, I don't think I even masked off all of these pegs. So there are actually some pegs here that have paint on them, and it still feels like it's not going to be very stable. So I'm a bit concerned about that. Anyway, this is where I am so far with this. Now I'm going to show you some other stuff, because what actually the plan is that I'm not going to build this guy straight, which is why you don't see the backpack attached here yet. What I also have is this stuff. This is the... Okay, I'm not going to show you absolutely everything. There's a couple of loose parts here, but this is the Kotobukiya customized parts set for... Actually, I think it's intended for the dark horn or for the red horn, but there's all kinds of kits that you can put this on. And what I want to do is I want to somehow get this on the Berserk Fuhrer's back, which... So here's the backpack. It's completely unpainted. I'm gonna have to take it apart again and paint the individual parts. But I had to put it together just to sort of see what it would look like. And of course, you know, adding extra weapons to this really shouldn't be a problem because you've got so much mobility here and so many potential attachment points that yeah, it should be pretty easy to pull off. But yeah, I'm still sort of fiddling with things and experimenting and thinking about how I'm going to put this all together. Because to be honest, yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know how I'm going to do it yet. And I also kind of wanted to, oops, this dude's falling over forward. Do this here real quick just so that he'll actually stand up, which I think that still didn't work. Anyway, the thing is that I also kind of, let's actually do that real quick. I wanted to build the inner frame at least first to sort of see how it looks proportions wise, because as you can see, the Gatling gun, which is of course the most important part. I just wanted to get a Gatling gun on this guy because it's a Gatling gun. What other reason do I need? The Gatling gun, which will, you know, presumably attach like this somehow. So let's actually flip this around real quick. The Gatling gun is gonna go on like this somehow. There's a peg here and a hole here, so sure I can figure out some way to get this on here, but it's really big, you know, so I'm really gonna have to think about where and how I'm going to attach this exactly to make it work and so that it looks cool and balanced. And now that I'm looking at this, you know, I mean, I also have this gun. I have this whole thing here, which, by the way, there's so many seam lines on this, and I really try to at least get rid of some of them. But yeah, we'll see what this all looks like when it's primed. Anyway, my point was, I mean, just this would be a huge weapon to have on here. And yeah, so the way I see it is, and looking at it now and just the size of the Gatling compared to the rest of this inner frame, I'm not gonna put a whole lot more on here. I mean, just this Gatling this looks massive, you know. It needs to be something else on the other side to make this look a bit balanced, but other than that, yeah, well, we'll see. I also still have to paint literally all of the armor. Stuff's actually still on spruce as I'm filming this. Oh, and also this ammo belt. Ugh. This is just a piece of rubber. And what I want to do is these pieces here. I want to scratch build replacements for these out of styrene sheet, and then just feed like 3 or 4 coil springs through here, which if I can pull it off, it's going to look really nice, and if I can't, it's going to take too much time and I'll miss the deadline for the contest, and then I'll still be left with nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna try at least, because this looks like absolute hot garbage, and I don't understand why they did this. There's so many HMM Zoids, like the Iron Kong in some versions has like ammo belts all over it, and there's Bandai kits that have this sort of thing done with separate parts, not just a floppy rubber piece. I mean, how the hell am I supposed to paint this, you know? Although I have to say, in general, like this thing, this entire CP set, it's once it's all put together, it looks okay, but It's just, it has seam lines out the frickin' wazoo. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of cheap, to be honest. I'm a little disappointed with it. This though, so far, very nice kit, very nice. I've had essentially no parts fit problems. It seems to be really posable, nice detail all over the place. This I'm really happy with. So anyway, I'm gonna get to painting the armor next, and sort of figuring out how I'm gonna modify this thing to get the weapons on it, and hopefully I'll make the deadline. I mean, it's still more than a month off, but just the paint between, you know, the painting and the pre-shading. I am gonna do a gunk wash on the armor, and then that's gonna take a lot of time. So we'll see if I can get it done. I think I mentioned earlier I was gonna do a diorama base for this thing as well, but I don't see that happening. Anyway, I will be back eventually when with this, when I have another update. For now, that's all I have to show you. I hope this was interesting and fun. Yeah, to me, it's just nice for me to be back doing something like this again. Honestly, I'm a little sick of miniature painting, and it was about time to build a friggin' robot again for once. Anyway, see you guys in the next one.